This is the Movie Theater Butter Podcast, where we talk about stories made into movies and what was modified for the big screen. As a warning, this episode will discuss the plot of both the movie and its original source material, so be ready for spoilers. I'm your host, Kim Labick, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Barbie!
Aw, there we go. And it only took us one try.
Yeah, that was the first try.
Alright, so if you're listening to this episode, hi, Barbie. Today we are talking about, well, I'm kind of sure you guessed it already, but we're talking about Greta Gerwig's 2023 Barbie movie. The international sensation, surpassing $1 billion, billion dollars at the box office already.
Hell yeah.
And normally I start the episode off with like a little bit of history. It was kind of impossible to do all the research for this one because sure, like the first Barbie doll hit the shelves on March 9th, 1959. That's like one little thing that I know, which also was nearly 14 years after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But there has since been numerous variations of the doll and animated movies, shows, books, games, trading cards, songs. Guys, the lore is heavy. So to help me today, I'm joined by two lovely reoccurring guests, Jen and Brina. Feel free to introduce yourself, say hello to the listeners out there.
Hi, I'm actually Sabrina, but Kim has known me for far too long and still calls me a childhood nickname. I don't know what to say about myself. I don't have a podcast. I just like to be on them.
Hi, my name is Paul. Kim likes to call me Jen for some reason. It's weird. Just kidding. I'm Jen. I've been on the Movie Theater Butter back when it was Flip the Script. Throwback.
Ooh. Vintage,
yeah. I am the host of the Book Stop podcast. Me and Kim have done plenty of episodes on there as well. We go back and forth, me and you.
We do. I keep wanting to like count how many episodes you and I have done together, and I just am too lazy to actually do that. I know we've done at least 5.
At least, absolutely.
Yeah, at least 5. You were like one of my very first guests, and you will probably be my last guest.
Wow.
Wow, tragic to think about the end of this podcast that hasn't released an episode in months. Anyways, to start us off today, I think we need to take it back to, yeah, that's right, guys, New Year's 2015. Do you remember? I remember.
Of course.
So the three of us were together. We were at Sabrina's place, and we were relaxing in the living room. I don't know, we had done a bunch of fun stuff before then, like little photo shoots, hanging out, playing cards, all that good stuff. And we were scrolling through Netflix, and we came across this gem of a show called Barbie: Life in the Dream House. Not to take credit for it, but I'm gonna take credit for it because it was me who suggested, hey guys, let's watch Barbie: Life in the Dream House. And if I remember correctly, we watched the entire thing that night and began the prophecy that today the three of us would talk about Barbie, the movie.
Yeah, to say that that show changed my life would be an understatement. It changed everything about me. And to this day, I am so glad I got to experience the journey that is Barbie: Life in the Dream House.
Yeah, I mean, truly, what a phenomenal show. I don't remember anything that happens in the show. I just remember that when you first suggested it, we were like, you're kind of insane, but also like, we'll check it out. And then immediately pushing play on the next episode every time it came up, because it is truly the best show ever. Like the movie, I mean, it had to live up to it, and it was like mid compared to this TV show.
Wow, bold statement. Okay, and would you say that very clear instance of internalized misogyny, would you say that that was gently washed away by my absolutely righteous third wave feminist idea to watch the show? Would you say that?
No. I would never say that many words at once.
Oh.
Yeah, you kind of left me at the interstate.
Syllables.
I have no idea what you just said.
Do I think that that show was a wave of feminism to change my life, essentially, you're saying?
Yes, yeah, I guess I was saying it in a far more egotistical sense.
Yeah, you did sound a little dramatic. I think the answer is yes, it did.
Oh, cool. Wow, yeah. And you're welcome, and thank you, and I really appreciate this moment we're having. It's beautiful. Just a very generalized question before we dig into like everything about this movie. We'll set aside the show for a quick second. I just want to ask a very general, do you think the Barbie movie did Barbie justice? And what I mean by that is talking about this is an adaptation of a very incredible figure in history. Do we think that this movie was successful or unsuccessful in adapting all that is Barbie to the screen?
I think it's hard to capture all that Barbie is in one movie, obviously. I mean, she is an icon across generations of people, but I would say the movie surprised me in a good way. It was a good representation of who Barbie is and who she would be if, obviously, we saw her exist in the real world and in her own world. But it's obviously hard to get it all in one movie, but I think that Greta and the entire cast did a very good job at making it feel like Barbie.
Nice. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that it opens a lot of discussions up, and I also really enjoy the representation that it has in its plot and in its cast. Barbie herself, I will say, growing up, I didn't play with Barbies. I was more of, a tomboy, so I resonate more with, like, cars, because I played with, like, Hot Wheels. Ka-chow! Yeah. So I guess I didn't really have that close of a connection to it in that aspect. I think coming at it as, like, a third party who was taking it for what it was, I think it was an interesting angle, and I think that what the message they were trying to come across with came across. I think at that point it's up for the audience to determine if the message was received.
Nice. Well put. So follow-up question. I guess, Jen, you kind of started to answer it, but I guess, Sabrina, I would also like to know, what is your personal history with Barbie? Did you play with Barbies growing up? Did you not?
I definitely was a big fan of dolls of any kind. Polly Pockets, Bratz, Cabbage Patch Kids. These aren't sponsored by them. I did have a lot of Barbies. I did play with them a lot. My personal favorite always kind of was Bratz. Don't tell Barbie. But maybe it was just because they just had such better vibes. They were like a little more alternative. They had way more makeup. And that's just like always the vibe for me. But I definitely played with Barbie a lot. I was a big fan of her and loved dressing them up and cutting their hair and just, having a whole party.
Hell yeah. Having a Barbie party.
A Barbie.
Yeah, having a Barbie.
A Barbie.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very much like a weird Barbie kind of kid when I grew up. Not in the sense of like, yeah, it was kind of a weird kid.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, you still are.
Alright, we're not getting into that. But I had a couple of Barbies growing up. I was also more of a Hot Wheels kid. I was a Magnets kid. We won't get too much into that. But like, not like horseshoe clicks onto a wall.
Are you talking about those ones? The one
not this, but do you remember where there was just like a ball and a stick and they were magnets? And you could like connect them, make a pyramid.
You just played with magnets?
Yeah, but in like, okay, I didn't just make them like into geometric shapes. I made them into characters, and we had like a long-running sitcom, and that's something I'll discuss in the future. Anyways, I did have too many Barbies growing up. I had a couple that I remember, and I do remember having like a weird Barbie situation. There was a moment where my best friend and I, growing up, we did like a Barbie ER video. It was VHS days. And we like had like a VHS camera and we were like vlogging this like episode of Barbie ER. So we, of course, like she became a weird Barbie because we like cut off her hair, popped off her head, all that good stuff. So there's definitely a headless Barbie roaming around there who's like really got some heavy medical bills she needs to work on. But that's kind of my familiarity with Barbie. It wasn't much growing up, and definitely there was a time when I reached probably like 10 or 11, where I was like, yeah, Barbie sets unrealistic body standards for women, and I don't like her for that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm intelligent. And then, you grow up and you kind of learn more about the world, and a lot of your like internalized misogyny gets attacked more and more. So all of that is, just to say, every woman struggles with internalized misogyny growing up, and most of us, almost all of us, start to grow out of it at a certain age, and for different reasons. There's a lot of sort of different origin stories as that goes. But it's a journey most women go through. I want to bring it back to Barbie because growing up, Barbie is just this sort of vessel for internalized misogyny to latch onto. She's pink, we hate pink. Pink is girly, therefore evil. It's stuff like that. And I will say, being at this age now, being so not like fully healed, but a lot more healed from all that, and then going to watch this Barbie movie was absolutely perfect. I think that our age group was a lot of like the main target audience for this, because I think to watch this you do need to already recognize a good amount of internalized misogyny and misogyny in general to be able to watch this to the fullest extent.
Yeah.
And that was not the question that I started with at all. The question was more on like, did I play with Barbies as a kid? But we got here.
We did get here.
So let's take it back for a quick second. I want to get everybody's favorite quotes because we didn't go through that, but I like to do that every episode of the podcast. So mine, I'm always really bad with quotes. I always cheat in some kind of respect. So I cheated today. It's not even a quote. I didn't come with a favorite quote. I came with a favorite moment. So I really liked when Ken is going in for a kiss at the end of the night in like the opening act, and Barbie just like kind of leans back a little bit. She's like still smiling, but she just kind of leans back a little bit as like a clear no, and she just doesn't kiss him. And he, you know, pulls back and he, I don't know, doesn't call her a slut or physically abuse her or a serial killer. I just thought that was a really nice little moment. Like a beautiful bare minimum. I just wanted to point that out, and I know it's not an actual quote, but that is one of my favorite parts of the film.
The bar is set very low, yes.
Yeah, we do love men doing the bare minimum.
So Jen, what was your favorite quote?
I'm sorry, I have 4.
All right. See, we're a great trio. Can we just... You're like the Hermione Granger of the group. And I don't really know exactly where to place Brina and I think.
mean, you're the hero, so...
So
you're Harry, absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then she's Ron.
I'm the comic relief because I'm an idiot. Thank you so much. I'll take it.
And I'm the doofus with glasses
Excuse
who just kind of gets by.
What about glasses?
I said I'm a doofus with glasses.
I don't have glasses, so I'm not offended by that.
Okay, so my first one is because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything, which was at like the beginning of the movie, which is like, it fits so well with what the message of Barbie is and how there's so many Barbies. Each one is a representation of something else, and so everyone always has like an opportunity to connect with a specific Barbie. And I know right now on TikTok that people are getting like their support Barbie. So they go to the store and then they buy a Barbie that looks like them and then dresses them up like that. And I think that's really cute. And again, it shows that you're able to connect to something, even if it's just a piece of plastic or whatever she's made out of. You can see yourself into something that means a little bit more than just a toy that kids play with.
I love that.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's incredible. And really quick, I do want you to continue your quotes, but really quick, I think that was something, when we watched Barbie Life in the Dream House, that was one of the most fun parts of that show, was like, it was this beautiful joke and yet also great motivation to a lot of the story in that show. Was like, you know, she starts off and she's just like stereotypical Barbie, and then someone's like, oh no, I broke my leg, and she like twists around and she's like, I got it, I'm a doctor. And then she'll go in and that person's like, wow, now I want to sue this place because I slipped and that's how I broke my leg. And then she would spin around and be like, I'm a lawyer too, or whatever, and it would go on and on. But that was a lovely little thing that they did. I do kind of wish that they would have had some moment like that in the movie. I think that that's something that could have been incredible and very simple to do. Not that I'm like critiquing the movie, because I want to emphasize right here and now, and I want this to go on the record, that the Barbie movie is the greatest film that was ever made. And if you think otherwise, you're wrong, because I work in the film industry and I make more money than you, and you're wrong.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
I want that on the record. I want that to come up someday as someone pulls this soundbite and gets mad about it.
I want to be on the record that Kim makes more money than me. Can I borrow $5?
I think to support your statement of what you said is that it's like they gave, like, cause she was like, you are the stereotypical Barbie, while there's like, you know, President Barbie and Dr. Barbie and Nobel winning prize Barbie. Instead of having all in one person and have all that on her shoulders, it's spread out across this community. And I think it's to bring women together as well. So it's not saying that one specific woman is so empowered, but a group of women together is what makes them empowered.
Damn. Yeah. Hell yeah. Damn right, Jen.
I absolutely think that stereotypical Barbie was so important because I think a lot of people, although like not everybody looks like Barbie, you can see yourself in her as someone who's almost 25 and has no idea what I'm doing with my life. I feel like she made the most sense to me because she doesn't know either. She doesn't like have that purpose besides just being like there and being Barbie. And so I think that was super important to a lot of people who were watching that, like, yeah, I'm not the president, I'm not an accomplished lawyer, I'm not, a doctor, but I'm still represented in the movie as, like, someone who matters enough to even be a main character, of, like, someone who doesn't have a career be her whole life either because she has no idea what she's doing. To me, that was very important as someone who feels like a stereotypical Barbie sometimes.
Hell yeah.
Her stance in the movie shows that it's okay to be a stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah, I think the film did a really excellent job of, I don't know if this is technically fourth wave feminism, because I should have done the research on this at least and kind of separated them, but it did a great job of really finally recognizing that women can be both amazing and have tough days and everything. I mean, like, that was in so many words, that was the whole message of the film, was that, like, don't hold yourself to this incredible standard. You can be this incredible person, but you can also just, like, have a shitty day. You can also just have a normal day, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's something that, like, going through this journey of internalized misogyny and coming out of that and stuff, you go through that, right? And even more so in, again, like, the various waves of feminism. Early feminism was like, hey guys, don't hit women. Maybe that's bad a little bit, right? And then we kind of started to evolve to, like, hey, should women also kind of have a voice? Hey, I think they should have a bit of a voice. We go through this evolution. And so I think this is an excellent culmination of that evolution at the time that we're in. And on that note, I want to point out some of the discourse that I've seen about this film has talked about how it was almost a little bit too delicate with messaging, or the reverse. Some people, gross people that we don't like, are like, oh my god, it was so radical. How dare women be allowed to be just as human as everybody else? Before I saw this movie, I saw some of that discourse, and I was very interested to see how it all turned out. But I will go back and again say, I think this was an excellent culmination of the messaging. Where we are now, I think this was a really beautiful message overall.
I think with people that don't believe in the messaging here is that people get uncomfortable with things that they're not used to or grew up understanding, and change, really. If you didn't take from this movie what you're supposed to take, then this movie isn't for you. It's for someone else or the younger generation that can look upon this movie and understand the message it's trying to deliver.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10.
But anyways, my quote.
Back on topic.
So this is us at the beginning of the movie, and lawyer Barbie says, I can hold both emotion and logic in an argument at the same time, and no, that doesn't make me weaker, it makes me stronger.
That's a good one.
Which, slay. Because I am so sick of hearing the statement of, women are so emotional, they can't possibly be leaders because their emotion and their hormones will take over. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but no. And listening to this quote, I'm just like, finally, someone puts it into a sentence that makes sense.
Yeah, that was great. And I love, too, in the movie, the reaction to that. That's a moment that it was played like it could have been a little comedic. Like, it was funny, but it was, like, positively funny, right? I think everyone's reaction in the theater, or at least my reaction, I guess I can only speak for myself, but my reaction in the theater was kind of like you're saying, like, wow, it's a beautiful quote, it's a lovely moment, that's something that I wish I would have been able to put the words together for, but, like, thank you for having this right now. It immediately cuts from that to Margot Robbie Barbie. God, that's so hard to say. Margot Robbie. Shit. Anyways, it cuts over to her, and her reaction is incredibly supportive. And, like, beautiful. There is an alternative version, right? Where her reaction could have been more like jokingly teary. They could have played on the comedy of that moment. But that's another one of the moments that it's like, you know that this was directed by a woman. I mean, we already know for a million reasons, but like that quote and then the immediate response, therefore the whole like emotional moment of that bit was beautiful rather than it being like a tee-hee-hee women thing, you know?
Yeah. So the other one is like the most popular one I think that everyone really felt with is we mothers stand still so our daughters can look back to see how far they've come. And then my last one is this one I heard it and I actually laughed out loud, and it's when the CEO guys are like, I'm a man with no power, does that make me a woman?
Yes.
Oh man.
That was a moment.
I remember my face in that moment. I was shook. I was like, oh, got me.
Yeah, because that's what I liked about the movie is that they didn't try to hide the fact that they hate men. Sorry. No, they didn't try to hide about issues. They just straight up were like upfront with it. And that's why I think that this movie is better for, I would say, the older like more our age than really like kids, because it's going to go right over their heads.
Babe, you just called us the older generation.
You did do that.
I just want you to recognize that.
We are
You
getting
guys are like
older.
almost 30. Yeah.
We're slowly creeping into
Just
our 30s.
you two, though, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So-
like remember 9/11 at least a little bit. I have a vague
There
recollection.
it is.
She was gonna talk about it. I should have bet money that she would talk about 9/11.
But we're not. We're talking about Barbie. We're talking about Barbie. What a queen. What an absolute goddess. What a stunning individual.
Okay, that's all my quotes.
Okay, that was it? Nice.
Nope, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming to my podcast. Bye.
All right, Sabrina, take us home. What do you got?
I technically have two. So the first one was just a funny one that I saw when I was looking up quotes from the movie, because I unfortunately didn't bring a notebook to the movie with me to write down quotes.
Bro, I literally took my phone out and started typing on my phone.
That was
I don't even
that was
care.
pretty smart.
Whoa, wait. Was this the first time you saw the movie? You did that, Jen? In the
Oh, heck
in
yeah,
the
I
theater?
did.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about this separately. I will let it go for this occasion because it's
Movie
Barbie.
theater etiquette.
Yeah, but like, okay, but like,
Okay, I will say though, as the person who was sitting next to her in the movie, I didn't notice she did that, so it didn't ruin my movie experience.
I was very
Good.
stealthy.
Okay.
I was literally like this. So I'm sitting right, and I'm literally like
for
this.
the
Okay,
for the
just
listeners
for the
out
audience,
there,
she's holding an iPad, yeah, to her face.
like in a very sneaky fashion.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so my first quote is just like, obviously, stupid, funny one, but it was just when Ken said, when I found out the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I lost interest anyways. That to me was like, it was important because of the fact that men will start this whole thing just because they already got it going, and they were like, at this point, it's like too late, so let's just see how this plays out, I guess. Instead of pulling the logic to be like, maybe I should stop because this isn't what I thought it was. And then it got completely blown out.
I would argue that that's about like 75% of men who are interested in cars.
I would argue more.
75. 76.
Yeah, 76% of men interested in cars also believe the patriarchy is about horses.
True.
That one just made me laugh because when he said it in the movie, I was like, imagine ruining the lives of all of these women because you thought you were doing something about horses, and then because you realized it wasn't, you kept going anyways because you were like, well, I guess let's see how this plays out, instead of just being like, hey guys, this isn't about horses, let's just cut it now. Like, just not even using the logic there. But my real quote is, humans only have one ending, ideas live forever. So that was Ruth Handler's character in the movie said that. Absolutely loved that she was in it. When she came on the screen, I knew it was her. I know a little bit more about Barbie than I used to as a child nowadays. I was so excited to see that she was in the movie because I think that it's so important to show, like, where it started and where the idea came from. But I really love this too of, like, humans are always, I mean, we're always gonna die. That's what we're gonna do in life. But the ideas you have, the things that you do in your life are what matter and what live forever past you. So I'm 95% sure she passed away, like, a while ago, but we now have this billion-dollar movie that came out about her original idea, so I think it was kind of like a nod to the movie of keeping her dreams and her ideas alive well after she had met her ending.
Yeah, absolutely. Stunning quote, a stunning thought. I would like to so obviously segue us over to discussing my personal favorite character of the film, which is Weird Barbie. What did you think, guys? Did you love her? Did you love her?
Okay, I absolutely get why she was in the movie. I think most kids had a weird Barbie. I had a lot of Barbies that I accidentally cut their hair too short, and it, like, would never lay flat again, because that's just, like, not how their hair is made. I didn't draw on them as much. They definitely, like, would get, like, scuffs on their face, or, like, I would try to put more makeup on them with, like, nail polish. You know, those typical things. I absolutely get why she was there. I was excited to see her. I was excited to see that she played a bigger role than just being weird on the side. That she, like, had a purpose, as far as, like, she could see what the rest of them weren't seeing, and she was willing to help them and move their cause forward. I was a little worried when I first saw her in the previews that she was just going to be there to, like, be weird, and it'd be, like, a funny, like, nod to her, and then you'd never see her again, and it would just be like, oh, that's just Weird Barbie, don't mind her. I was definitely happy to see that she played a bigger role in it, and was more, like, you know, on their side, and had ideas and things to share with them to kind of open their eyes. She wasn't my personal favorite character, but I think that Kate McKinnon did a really good job with her. I think that there wasn't anyone else that could have played her the same, honestly. I think sometimes they made her a little too weird just for fun, but, like, I don't really blame her for that, you know?
Yeah, I think some of the flips almost went a little too far.
The flips were a little much. The fact that she wanted sanitation as her career, that was a little, like, okay, I mean, slay. Like, women can do that too, but...
You know that was improv, right?
Of course it was. But yeah, so, I mean, some of the time she was a little eccentric, and I was like, okay, I get it. Like, you have to be, but I felt like the boots and the face was enough, you know?
Valid. I respect it.
I really enjoyed Weird Barbie. I really like the message she had of, like, you know, life isn't perfect. It's okay to be a little crazy, a little out there, a little weird yourself. I think it's crazy that they're actually marketing and selling a Weird Barbie. I think that's insane, because the whole point is, like, making your own Weird Barbie. I don't know. I really don't know if I liked the actress that played her. I didn't hate her. She wasn't memorable in the sense that I don't really like that actress a ton. I haven't seen her in anything else, though, so maybe if I have a different perspective on her, I'd like her better. But I don't know. She was a hit or miss to me. Like, I wasn't blown away by her acting at all. I think she was funny, but yeah, I agree that there was times where it went a little too far. Like, they were trying to emphasize the weirdness on her, when the point was very obviously across.
I really didn't expect you to not be absolutely in love with Kate McKinnon like I am, but I will respect it because this is Barbie. And
like, I haven't really seen anything else she's been in. Like, I see that she's been in DC League of Super Pets.
That's what she's most known for.
The Magic School Bus Rides Again.
I mean, I think a lot of people know her from Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Is, like, her biggest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she has been in a lot of movies more recently.
I don't have any past with her. This was my first time seeing her, so I think that really, like, changes your perspective on when this is your first introduction. It's like first impressions, you know? She didn't really stick out. I wouldn't say that she's my favorite character either.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Who is your favorite character, if you had to choose one?
Oh, God. I really liked that Sharon Rooney was in it. I love her. She was in the main character of Mad Fat Diary, which I watch, like, every other year. It's so good. So I was really happy to see her in something else other than that. But I also obviously really liked Michael as Alan. When he was beating up those guys, I was losing it. But I will not say that a man is my favorite character. I refuse. So it's definitely going to have to be Sharon, yeah.
That's good, because a man being your favorite character from the Barbie movie, that's problematic.
Yeah, no. He's an honorable mention, and then...
Does Alan count, you know?
Yeah. As a man, yes.
For now.
Oh, okay. Fair.
I will say that it's not Ryan Gosling. I did not like him in this role. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was too blonde. He was too blonde. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take him seriously.
He was too tan. It was the tan for me.
I did not enjoy him, but I also not a huge fan of Ryan Gosling, so.
Ooh, I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong when I say that about Ryan Gosling, and you'll be the second. Anyways,
I highly doubt that.
there's a lot of me like super idolizing people that I don't know in person, but I'll let me idolize their performance. Ryan Gosling is someone that I also like. I think the first couple of times I saw that he was starring in this, I was like, Ryan Gosling. Like, there's definitely parts where I was like, he must be too old to play Ken. This will never work. And then I thought he did an excellent job. I think he really nailed the part. Like, I was surprised how much he sort of melted into the character, for me, personally. I think he did a great job. I think the too blonde is less of a negative and more of a positive. I think him being too blonde is good, you know? And I do think, okay, you know what? I guess I'll give a small criticism. Yes, I agree. His tan could have been toned down.
It was really bad. Like, Barbie was not tan like that. And I get that his job is beach, so, like, he's gonna be on the beach all the time, and the whole movie wasn't about his tan, but I think if it would have went, like, 2 shades lighter, I wouldn't have had a hard time looking at him in some scenes.
That's valid.
That's all. That's all I ask. My favorite character was Margot Robbie, if you guys were wondering.
I wasn't wondering. Anyways, let's continue.
Margot, say it. I need both of you right now. It's hard to say.
Margot Robbie Barbie?
Say it twice in a row.
Margot Robbie
Please.
Barbie. Margot Robbie Barbie. That's twice?
Okay. Okay, Jen, your turn.
The Barbie that Margot Robbie played.
Margot Robbie Barbie.
Margot Robbie Barbie.
I think it's hard for me to say because I'm just an absolute fool.
Can we talk about the fact that Ken is a horse girl?
I think that is an important thing to mention.
Yes. Can we, before we even dive into the horses, because this is going to be like a good 30 minutes of the podcast alone, but I do want to quickly say, do you know the French translation of the Ken poster? Do you know anything about that?
I don't speak French.
Amazing. So let me bring this in, because I do speak French, and so I get, on my social media and on my feeds, I get a handful of French things every now and then. So I learned that the word Ken is kind of slang for sex. It's kind of one of the words. It's kind of slang for sex, or for like fucking, which is the same thing, but that's a better translation. Anyways, so the poster in English says he's just Ken. It's got, Ken's doing his thing, partially shirtless, whatever. So it says he's just Ken. The French translation is c'est juste Ken, which directly translates to it's just Ken. However, because the word Ken in French kind of means fucking, kind of means having sex, the translation is more along the lines of like, he's just here for sex, which is hilarious.
That's interesting. What does that have to do with horses? I'm sorry.
I thought this was a PG podcast.
So there's a phrase called being hung like a horse, and that's not how I wanted to segue. But now we're talking about horses, and they're in
That was
the
a really
movie.
funny translation. Thanks for sharing that, Kim.
Yeah, thank you for the French lesson. For free,
I just felt like you were going to be sad if I didn't tell you it was a good one. And you know what? I'm a woman that supports other women, so...
Yeah, we love that.
You know me too well.
I guess, like, going back before we start talking about the horse thing, I did really enjoy how Gloria, the human that had the Barbie, she didn't have a Ken doll, so it, like, signified that, so Barbie doesn't need a Ken doll in her life, and that's why she pushed Ken back so much at the end of the movie, and she was, like, still not with him. I really like that she didn't end up with him, like, in a relationship with him at the end of the movie, and it kind of gave me a little bit of, like, Ace vibes from the main Barbie, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's being talked about a lot in, again, kind of like the online discourse about this film, is I don't like the word rumor, because I think it's more than a rumor, but there's a lot of conjecture about Barbie being asexual, which I think is incredible. And there's also a lot of conjecture about Weird Barbie, aka Kate McKinnon, being very lesbian coded, and there's a lot of talk also about Alan. There's kind of a couple different schools of thought on Alan, but I do love how like this film brings all of these different communities and all these different people able to find themselves in a way that I don't think another film has done before. I mean, there are films with diversity, and that's lovely, and we can find ourselves in those in different ways. But this film really reached like a lot of people.
Yeah, I like that it was open for interpretation too. Like it doesn't outright ever say really anything. Like let's say for example, Alan. It never outright says that he is any kind of anything. But you get the vibe. Like you could pick up on it. And some people might see themselves through Alan and being able to resonate with him. It's just really nice, and I really enjoyed that.
We haven't even talked about Sugar Daddy Barbie.
I don't think he needs a mention. Or Magic Earring Ken.
Magic Earring Ken.
I think
which is my favorite Ken.
Those are mistakes that we can put in the past. Along with growing up Skipper. I think that's probably the worst mistake.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Ooh. On the Ken subject of things, though, Sabrina, you did mention we were talking a little bit about the show Ken. Again, the Barbie Life in the Dreamhouse show, specifically Ken. That Ken is a very different Ken to the one that we see in this film. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw as the main differences? What do you think are the important differences between these two Kens?
Absolutely. Ken in the show Barbie Life in the Dreamhouse is the ideal man. He is the man that makes you want a boyfriend around. The only reason. He is fantastic. He's so funny, so loyal. He's literally a golden retriever. He's like the golden retriever boyfriend, Ken. I don't think that Ryan Gosling gave any of those vibes. I get that, Barbie was not really interested in a relationship. Maybe she could have, got him to that point of being nicer if she wanted him around. He wasn't giving that vibe for me, and that's all these years how I viewed Ken because of that show. Honestly, he was a little bit disappointing to me. I understand completely why he had to be different and how he was much more realistic as far as, I know and have met a lot of men that act a lot like him. And so, I understand making it more realistic and turning him more into fitting into that movie. But man, do I miss Barbie Life in the Dreamhouse Ken. Let's just have a moment of silence for him and how perfect he is.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Speaking of Ryan Gosling's Ken, I will say that at the beginning of the movie, he did start out that way. He did start out like Dream Life, the Barbie house, whatever his Kenness is. King Ken, we'll call him.
King Ken.
King Ken. He did start out that way, but then when Barbie didn't accept his advances, that's when he started to kind of change.
Fair.
And obviously the real world definitely helped alter that mindset for him. And going back into the, not really understanding what he's doing, but continues to go with it because he's already in the tumble roll of it. He did start that way, and then the second that she didn't accept his advances, he did start to change, which is just so sad. And I'm sad that the movie had to go that way to get the story that they wanted, because the Ken from the cartoon is just so great. He is the ideal Ken.
He is absolutely my favorite character in Barbie Life in the Dreamhouse, a show with literally Barbie's name only in the title. He is my absolute favorite character. And in this movie, I wouldn't even give Ryan Gosling's Ken an honorable mention as a favorite character. So it is sad, but I also completely understand why they went in the direction they did and why he acted the way that he did. So I don't blame him. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed,
And of course this is all, the directors doing this, but...
But I also part of me wonders if I think there is an alternative to the story that probably would not have been nearly as powerful, which Mattel and the Mattel bosses were the antagonist, but I'm sure that could not happen given the fact that this is a Mattel film.
Don't get me started.
Right. Oh, let me get you started.
Oh my god, I hated the CEOs and Will Ferrell in this movie.
No, that was going to be my next question. Okay, I think you're the person in my life that is very anti-Will Ferrell, right? That's you?
Yeah, I do not like Will Ferrell. I'm sorry. I know he
this
is
like the third opinion today of yours that I just don't. I just
you know
shake
what?
my
It's
head.
good that you have her on here because we can have varying opinions and we can all still be girl bosses together and be besties. And that's
You're
what
so
the Barbie
right.
movie was about.
Jen, I love you. Please continue.
Don't gatekeep my truth, okay? I'm trying to talk.
Don't gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss me.
Oh, I'm gonna do all of those things.
No, I will say, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He did not annoy me in this movie, as much as he does in his other movies. I think he was fine in this one, but the plot of the CEOs and, like, Mattel's, subplot in the movie, I just hated it, because at the end of the movie, it didn't matter. They had no point in this movie did they have an actual structure at the end of the movie that mattered. They just stood there and was like, okay, we're in Barbie land. I guess we're gonna go now. Like, it was so awkward, and it didn't make any sense. I specifically watched the CEO because I was very intrigued of how that was gonna play into the plot and the story of this movie. And it just went away. There was nothing. There was no resolution to it. And it made me so mad. I hated it. That's one of my biggest bullet points, is how much I hate that subplot.
I will say, I don't really have a strong opinion on Will Ferrell either way. I like him in some movies, and then there's some movies that I just haven't been a huge fan of him in. So I'll very much play the middle in this. I liked the idea of the characters because I thought it was a funny way to show the people in charge, like, literally being so much dumber than these Barbies who were, like, in charge in their place. And I really liked that aspect, like, towards the beginning. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna give them screen time, make it worth it, especially considering the amount of screen time they got, especially towards, like, the middle and the end. I felt like they could have been more important, and I felt like there could have been absolutely a better resolution towards the end. They really were meaningless in the movie, besides to just show that big corporations don't really care, and to show, like, obviously, it's, if Mattel is letting them do the movie, they're not gonna let them smack talk Mattel the entire time, and I think they got away with more than I kind of expected them to, as far as just, like, making the CEO and the other guys so stupid, where, like, I would really think they would be, like, very against that. Did I like the scene of them riding the bike all together? Yes, I very much did. I thought that was really funny. But I think they could have had a better purpose in it, as far as they at least could have came around to, like, maybe it is more important to include women in this, if this is about them, and these characters represent them, and even just, like, adding in more women to their crew alone would have been, like, a okay resolution for me of, like, okay, at least they recognize there's some sort of issue here, that all of them in a hot pink room are men, being like, this is what this woman should be. They could have had a better resolution, as far as, like, they had some funny scenes, but I don't think they were worth taking up the time in the movie if they just ended up how they did.
Talking with you about this, and kind of everything that you just said really made me think about, why were they included in the film? I mean, a couple of jokes here, but why were they included? And now that I am thinking about it a little bit more, which, like, thank you for having this discussion, because I probably wouldn't have had this minor epiphany otherwise. But here's what I'm thinking, okay? Listen up, guys. You know that we have, like, a Marvel Cinematic Universe coming with Mattel, right? Do you know this? Is this just something I know because I work in the film industry? Guys, we have a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Is this top secret information you're dropping right now?
Oops. Fire me. I'm unemployed. There are strikes going on. No, this is public knowledge. This is something I can talk about.
Okay.
And specifically, one of the upcoming films... I'm just gonna heavy sigh. I'm not gonna say anything. J.J. Abrams is directing a Hot Wheels film. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it with a little bit of a tone. Take it how you will. However, so that's one of the upcoming films. We've got a bunch of upcoming films. But so I kind of wonder if maybe the Will Ferrell and this little CEO group, I wonder if they are the sprinklings of what is going to become like the S.H.I.E.L.D. type thing, or even the Thanos. But I wonder if they're like an intentional sprinkling of characters that aren't essential to the story, but they wanted to solidify and introduce in the story so that they can use them in further stories.
I definitely can see that.
Huh.
I mean, people already think that the Will Ferrell being the CEO of Mattel has something to do with him, with all of his Legos from the Lego movie, obviously, too. I've seen that fan theory a lot, and it honestly makes sense. Like, if you're the CEO of a toy company, to have that ability of the toys, and they're also combining it with the elf universe, that was, like, lost me a little bit there, but, you know. Good for them for having a dream.
Yeah. I think going a little too hard on the universe theories is a very common thing to happen these days that I don't really appreciate.
Everything has to connect. There has to be a purpose
Yeah.
and a reason behind every single thing. It all connects. And you know what? I blame Taylor Swift.
I was just gonna say this same goddamn thing, but now, is that our internalized misogyny trying to tear down a woman for being successful?
No, because I'm not trying to tear her down for it, and I'm not trying to tell her to stop. I'm just saying I blame her for making people too much of critical thinkers.
True.
You know the transition scenes of them going to and from the Barbie world to the real world? All of those scenes are all actually made. It's no CGI whatsoever, which I think is so cool. Like, I was watching this back, like, behind the scenes things of them, like, getting out the old time rollers and, like, rolling the set by so that way they could, like, stay still. It was really cool to see. And I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's something that we can kind of compare to Top Gun Maverick for a quick second, because a huge discussion, a huge discourse around all that was the practical effects of the actors did all of the things in the movie. I think almost all of them fucking learned to be pilots and flew jet, which is insane. But the way that I want to connect that back to Barbie is, I think in so many ways, the Barbie movie just brought back cinema. I think Barbenheimer brought back cinema, but particularly Barbie brought back cinema. I mean, this film just surpassed $1 billion in revenue, guys. That's a large number, of course. If you didn't know, $1 billion is a big number. So
it's less than $2 billion, though.
It's like, ooh, you know.
Just kidding.
She got
so
you there.
Practical effects. She did get me there. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate your knowledge, Jen. So practical effects. I mean, this film, like you said, I mean, there's practical effects everywhere. The whole thing was practical effects. As far as I know, there was not a single ounce of CGI. I'm sure there was a little dabble here and there, but whatever. That being said, I think this film, and a little bit of Top Gun Maverick, and particularly the fact that they were so incredibly successful, so well known for, like, bringing back cinema to this height, and so important to pop culture, and tied with the fact that they both notably used largely practical effects, is huge, and it makes my heart sing, because it means we are headed towards golden era, a renaissance of practical effects. No shade to VFX guys, because VFX girls and guys, and he's and she's and theys, because we love you.
Interesting that you said guys first.
I did, because I still have some work to do.
Yeah. Looks like that misogyny's still there.
There's a tinge of that. I did not wear my pink shirt today. Was that a conscious choice?
I just wanted to point that out. That was a topic that I wanted to bring up. I did wear pink all day today in preparation for this, and then I came home and I changed into something else pink for this podcast, as well as the fact that I do have pink hair.
I was gonna say you are all pinked
but
up.
I will confirm with you guys right now that she's not.
I'm not. So, I want to talk about, how do you think this film is best watched? In what sort of environment, or what kind of group with, what time of day, what temperature in the room, anything. But I want you to tell me, how do you think this film is best watched? And we're going to start with Brina.
I thought super long and hard about this. I think that the best way to watch this movie is the way that a lot of women have been watching this movie. It is something that I have been so excited to see. I typically don't really care that much about, like, a trend of people going and, like, doing something and posting about it a lot. But if you take a picture with your friends all wearing pink at the Barbie movie, I'm gonna like it, okay? Because I think that is such a beautiful thing of, like, women making bonds with each other. And obviously pink is a phenomenal color and I love it a lot, and so I'm excited to see the abundance of pink out this summer and this fall as well. It has to be you and all of your hot girl boss friends, of course, because all women are hot. That is correct. Just a true point. You have to be wearing all pink. Not heels, though. I've seen that. Don't wear heels to the movie theater. That's just kind of silly. Unless you want to, I guess, go ahead. All pink. Ideally, like a living room watch party would be fun, but a theater is a good vibe, too, for this. You need your pink drinks, your pink snacks, not the Starbucks pink drink. You know, like pink lemonade, maybe. I don't care what you'd want to drink. And I think the temperature should be about 76. Women get cold easily, so.
Yeah, we do.
You gotta, like, you know, make sure your friends are... Or it could be like a 72 and everyone has a little pink blanket, too.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Okay, we need to do more blankets in movie theaters, but I think we've got another film at some point that will bring that into the discourse, which is my word of the day, apparently. Yes, that's an excellent way to watch the Barbie movie. All right, Jen, you're up. What do you got? What do you got for us? How best is Barbie the movie watched?
Let's see. I would say this would be good to watch at like a bachelorette party while you're getting crunk, getting lit with the ladies. You can watch this in the background, whatever it is. I feel like a summertime vibe is really the vibe of this movie. After swimming, you come home, the sun's setting, you watch this, maybe you have a little like campfire going. Or I think watching this movie with someone that matters to you will definitely change as well. Because a big part of this story is mother and maternal instincts. And I think watching this with your mom or somebody that you see as a parent figure, I think is really, really important. If this movie didn't make you want to call your mom or hug your mom, then I'm sorry that you don't have that relationship with your parents, but I will give you a hug. And you could call me mom.
Nice.
But yeah, no, definitely watching this with your friends is a must as well. I think watching it with people is important. Of course, you can always enjoy something alone and still enjoy it as much as you could with anybody else. But having someone to bounce off of your laughter with, it just enhances this movie.
For sure. I will say, as someone who has seen it twice so far and both times alone, I still agree with you. I will go see it at least 2 more times. I've dedicated myself to that. And I know one of those times will be with the whole group kind of thing. You guys are completely on the money, to use like a boomer phrase. You guys are super on the money with that. I completely agree with those environments. Similarly, I would say this film is best watched with the girls and the gays wearing shades of pink and or neon and absolutely slamming down AMC pretzel bites with honey mustard. And then to top it all off, I think you should have therapy the next morning to be able to discuss and unpack.
That's true. Because, I mean, if you...
72 degrees, I also agree, is like a perfect...
Yeah, that is like my ideal temperature. I think if you didn't go home and cry a little bit about this movie, you didn't think about it enough. So, try again. Go back.
Yeah.
Reverse. Go see it again.
We should bring Kleenex. Add Kleenex to this.
I can't wait for it to be streaming.
Yes. Oh, this is unrelated and genuinely not related to you guys at all. My birthday's coming up in like less than a month and I keep forgetting about it, but I just thought today, I was like, oh my God, I should tell my family, like, if you guys want to get me anything, buy me groceries, which is kind of like the saddest adult thing to want. Or the DVD of Barbie, because I want it specifically on DVD, but yes, also on streaming. But I know it's one of those movies, I can tell you right now, when that movie lands on streaming, it's not going to stay in the same place.
Yeah.
They'll do what they do with every movie nowadays, especially every big movie. And they'll be like, okay, it's on Netflix for 3 months, and now, now it's on HBO for 6 months, and now, you know what I mean?
Everybody wants a little Barbie.
Everybody wants a little Barbie. If you're listening, I would recommend try and buy that DVD. Buy yourself a DVD player. Yeah, kind of vintage, right? Kind of cute. They're only like $30, give or take. Not bad at all. And then you have all of your movies right there forever. You can watch whenever you want with cute little bonus features. Sometimes there's like a game you can play. All of these ideas are incredible ways to watch the movie. But at the end of the day, guys, I want to wrap this up and I want to say however you watch this movie is the best way to watch this movie. Because at the end of the day, guys, you should watch this movie. Greta Gerwig, slam dunk. Incredible film, international sensation for a reason. Mm-hmm. The last thing we're gonna do today,
we didn't even talk about horses once.
I do have one little thing.
The second to last thing we're gonna do today is Jen's thing first. What do you got?
I was watching this movie and it really bothered me the entire time I was thinking about it. So I want you to think about it.
Do it.
You know how the liquid, like when she pours the milk and stuff, and even when she pours the spoiled milk, it like goes in her mouth spoiled, and like the shower was wet and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they don't have any liquid in their world, but they have the illusion that it's there, like it's there in their mind. So when they all threw up on each other in the beach scene, they all actually threw up on each other.
That is disgusting.
So that's just gonna like haunt my dreams tonight. Thank you.
I did really love that scene because I liked when that guy, obviously Ken, you know my guy Ken. When he was on like the tower and was like throwing up, and they were like, "That's enough. Stop being so dramatic." That
stop.
was like my first thing in that movie that I was like, "Okay, this is the greatest movie ever made," because they immediately were like, "Stop. We can do it, but you can't."
It's kind of like when you make fun of your sibling and then somebody else tries.
And then you're like, don't do that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really valid point, and that's that's the kind of thing, Jen, I'm glad you brought up, because I know when books are written about this film and when film history teachers tack this onto the syllabus, that's going to be an important part. And so this is something I want our listeners to really think about, really go home with. If you're already home, damn, you did good. You got there. Thank you for that. And I think the last thing we're going to do today is a little trivia moment. So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the hypothetical clock, but I want you guys to riddle me this, all right? And you can answer at the same time. All right, are you ready?
No.
Question is this. How many atomic bombs did Barbie drop on the innocent Japanese citizens living in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Take your time. 30 seconds on the clock.
I don't think that it's very feminist of you to blame Barbie for this.
Barbie would never, so I'm going to say 0.
I'm also going to say 0.
Excellent. It was a trick question. Barbie actually didn't drop a single atomic bomb on the innocent Japanese citizens living in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but the United States of America did. And thank you guys. You were both excellent today.
Can you do a podcast without talking about a national tragedy?
No, I think that's become an essential part of this entire thing.
Okay.
Honestly, film is art. Art is a reflection and a refraction of life. Mm-hmm. And so you cannot discuss important films without discussing
an event that had nothing to do with the
tragedies
film. Correct.
In world history. Exactly. So thank you guys a million times. Thank you for being here today. Genuinely love both of you. Miss you. Sabrina, I will maybe at some point surprise you for Christmas again. Who knows?
That would make me so happy. It's been so long since I got my Kim Christmas surprise.
It has. I haven't been to Michigan in like almost 4 years. Jesus.
Honestly, good for you.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
Also, if you're still listening to this, thank you. And, you might want to like subscribe or like give us a rating or do whatever you can to support the show, because I would appreciate that. I think we all would appreciate that. And then also, hey, if you're really in a podcast vibe, Jen has her own podcast. It's called the Book Stop Podcast, and it's definitively more successful than the one you're listening to right now.
Hey, that's not very girl boss. I do appreciate the name drop, but this podcast is just as successful as mine.
I would maybe say more consistent.
It's quantifiably not, but thank you.
Might not be the word.
Regardless, thank you.
Thank you for having us, Kim. I'm so happy to be back.
Thank you for having us. It's been great. It's been great to have like the three of us do a podcast, because we haven't done that yet, and I'm really excited. We definitely need to do one for the Book Stop. Yeah, thank you for having us. In a world full of Kens, be an Alan. Okay, bye-bye.
Aww.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye, Barbie. Well, it sounds like that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Movie Theater Butter, a Till Kim Productions podcast. If you have a free moment, we'd really appreciate if you like or follow the podcast from wherever you're listening. It'll really help us grow our audience and be able to continue making episodes for you guys. You can also follow us on Instagram for monthly episode schedules, extra content, and even surprise video episodes. All right, I'm done. See you next episode.